Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Entrepreneur TV Middle East. With me is the one and only Ali Khalpey. He is the head of ECM at EFG Hermes. Thank you so much for this interview and for welcoming us to this wonderful event. How are you doing?
Good. It's been an interesting couple of days. So
Yes.
timing is opportune for our conference and to be talking to people about markets again.
It's going well though so far. I feel like it's extremely busy, a lot of networking connections.
Yeah, look, this is a fantastic event for not just ourselves, but I think our clients and issuers. And we bring together a lot of people from around the world. And I think it's a really good melting pot, as Dubai is. And it's a great location to do it in Dubai, as we've done for 19 years in a row.
I like that word, melting pot. It's definitely what it is. So tell me a little bit about how did you start off this journey?
My personal journey started off actually as a kid growing up in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
So Africa has been my home, and I've lived in many different places: London, New York, and now finally resting places, Dubai. And capital markets have always been fascinating. Growing up, going to boarding school in England, investing in the stock market from the age of 14, and then building a career with.
That's impressive. Age of 14.
Yes, father's an entrepreneur, and
Okay.
kind of went alongside looking at stocks with him, and then university, and then going into finance. And my first job was in London, working for what today is BlackRock. It was the active management part of BlackRock, called Mercury Asset Management.
Incredible. Okay. So tell me a little bit about obviously your sector now in EFG Hermes and what are, the current, let's say, vision for the company and where you guys are heading toward.
Yeah. Look, we've had an incredible journey, I think, as a firm, coming out of Egypt, growing into the region. We've established ourselves as a leading platform for capital markets activities, be it in Saudi or UAE or even Kuwait, Oman. And I think our vision continues to be the dominant platform for not just government issuers, but private sector issuers. And I think our focus in the last 18 months has really been pivoting toward the private sector companies. We've seen a very strong start 4 or 5 years ago by government enterprises coming to capital markets. But really, the growth and the tremendous growth is going to come from the private sector. And that's really where we've been focusing our time and energy. Yeah.
How would you say you guys differ and what sets your approach, let's say, apart in your ECM transactions compared to, let's say, other players in the market?
Yeah. Look, we compete with everyone. We compete with local banks, we compete with international banks and the global banks.
Not an easy job of yours.
Not an easy job, but I think what we've done, is that, we're the one bank that can do everything. We can be the local bank in Saudi, we'll be the local bank in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, we can be the international bank when it comes to talking to investors in London, New York, or Singapore, or any other jurisdictions. And we can be the local regional bank when it comes to talking to Omani investors, Kuwaiti investors. So our positioning is unique. No one else matches our footprint when it comes to investor engagement. And the second thing we've done is, given the different platforms that we have built in the Middle East, again, not taking any global bank names, but they can't compete with the level of insight and the connectivity we have on the ground 100%. In certain markets. Similarly, local banks can't compete with our industry expertise when it comes to our banking team, looking at different sectors. So I think that's where we play to our strengths. We've invested a lot of time and energy and people building up our network in the region and building up our expertise. We're a humble Egyptian bank that is, playing with the big boys, and I think we're doing quite well.
I'm sure you are. You're doing very well. Tell me one more thing. Obviously, with all these comes a lot of challenges, and especially in this ever-evolving, sector, which is finance. How do you navigate all of those obstacles? What are kind of maybe like the current challenges that you guys are facing, and how do you overcome those?
Look, I think the first thing is clarity of thought. It's very easy to get mixed up in the intensity of what's going on. For example, the current market environment. I think it's important to take a step back and just look at things from a 30,000. Yeah, take that view and not be too reactive. That's the first thing. I think the thing is to have patience. Markets are evolving. Markets are always there, and I think that those two factors I just described, along with best advice to your client, is what we try and do best. Are we always going to be right? No, but are we there for our investors and our issuers at difficult moments and try and help them navigate? Yes, we are. And hopefully that stands the test of time and helps us make the right decisions and do the right things for our clients.
And don't open the apps, guys. Don't look at your stocks now. Wait for them a little bit, right?
Exactly.
Don't look at those falls now.
Exactly.
Inshallah, it's going to rise in the future. All right, tell me a little bit about, your future plans. Where is that vision going?
Yeah, look, I think we continue to build in the region. Saudi is an incredibly important market for us. We've spent a lot of time. We've had a lot of people there. Notwithstanding the big picture macro story for Saudi. There are a lot of incredibly wonderful entrepreneurs in Saudi who are building great businesses, and eventually those businesses need to tap into additional capital, and we want to be their first port of call for when they need to bring that capital and come to the equity capital market. So Saudi, I think, is a very unique story. I think we've done incredibly well in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. That'll continue to be the case. I think, just given the relative size of the markets, it's probably not going to be as a active market as Saudi's, although it has been a very important market for us and will continue to be the case. But those are kind of our kind of core medium-term goals for the firm.
Great. One last question for you, Ali. Tell us what sort of leadership advice you have for all those young leaders out there that wish to have your role one day.
Work hard, play hard, and build your network, because the network is what really gets you places in places like the Middle East.
100%. Thank you so much for this interview. We wish you the best of luck, and we hope to see you again very soon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.